back to the lovely LCS Game Changers once again for our third and final series of the day. Not Arcana, sorry, wrong team. Serenity, in fact, versus the Astrocats. This is once again our week 1, game 1 matchup from last week. Flipped on its head, now will be our final matchup for this week. Pastry time, Jolly.
Hello.
What are we thinking for this series here? What? I'm gonna start off right with predictions. Pastry, gotta give us a prediction.
I am predicting not a sweep because I don't think Serenity want to be put in the same position. So I'm gonna call 1-1. I think all the teams have learned a lot. I think Serenity have learned enough to not get swept this time by the Astrocats.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. As well as Astrocats has been doing, I think Serenity, based on the first series that we saw of the day, looks a lot cleaner than they did week number 1. So I think a lot of the mistakes that maybe were made week number 1, or a lot of maybe disadvantages they might have had exposed, have been cleaned up a lot. So I think it's probably going to be, if I had to make like a solid prediction, I'd say Astrocats will probably win the first one, and then Serenity will take one back.
Okay, very detailed prediction there. And just in case you are just joining us, Astrocats versus Serenity, let's take a look at our Astrocats squad here.
They're back. They're still the same cats. They're still in space. Mermaid in the top lane, who looked very good, by the way. This is a player that should probably start keeping closer track of their laning phases, because I feel like she's continually getting leads. Fiku, their jungler, very girl in mid lane, looking dominating on the Swain. Avril, also very impressive from the bottom lane, certainly giving Ryle a run for her money as far as that matchup went. And then Billyworth, the most aggressive enchanter we have in the program, it seems like, in support. And of course, Coach Solari and manager Marbles rounding out the whole squad, because LCS Game Changers is certainly about the players and their support stuff, not just the players themselves.
And Serenity, a team that now is trying to remake a name for themselves. We have really high hopes for these gals. And Shysept is going to be there in the top side. Shapeshift, who we talked to earlier in the jungle. Ms. Timo, who has been a bit of a rock here for this team so far in the mid. And then in the bottom lane, you got Yumichi and the support as Heloisia. Coach, of course, is Macaris, and manager Perchance. And this is a team that, we're going to see more from, right? I feel like what we've seen from this team is absolutely not what you have to expect as we get into the later weeks.
Absolutely. And also, just in case this is your first matchup of the day, both of these teams individually have gone up against our third and final other team, Arcana, so far today. Serenity did go 1-1 against them, Astrocats beating them 2-0. And now for the final matchup, of course, they do get to verse each other. But I hear we have a very special video. We have a very special mic check to check out here before we actually head into our Game 1 draft.
Focus or Nectin? Just try to burn.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill him, right?
Okay, not there.
I think we're good now. Oh, now you're really quiet.
Quiet?
Yeah, like really quiet.
Wow.
I think you're good.
Oh, wait, I need to send you back up then.
Yeah, same.
Wait, can you like keep talking for a little bit so I can adjust
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so illegal.
you? Renekton's bot.
Yeah. Philly's first.
Silas is on me. Silas is on me.
I'm TPing a mid. I'm walking in.
Go.
Look call. Philly's, go.
Call these stun.
Kazi stun, go call.
Renekton.
I got call.
Hold
Nectin's it.
Burn.
Yeah, go Baron.
Yeah, Baron.
I can't really tank for
My
that long,
team
but
is so good. I can tank it. Give me, I'll tank it. You're all 5 top laner. Got it. Let's go.
Mosquito like eating away at me. Like this is so tilting.
It's Kazik.
In game or IRL?
big game.
Oh.
Big game. Just big damage on him. Wait.
Silas?
Yeah, Silas is dead.
Oh, I didn't get the ult off. My bad. Oh.
If you can run up.
Nice.
Oh my god, okay.
That's huge. Good job.
Wait, I'm gonna look. Actually, wait, never mind.
They're all in this bush. They're all in that bush.
Oh,
Sleep it. Go. Philly's is so far. You're front to back. Philly's.
I can't even see what's happening.
That is what's happening.
End times 100.
That was amazing!
Oh, that was beautiful. And it was so much calmer and more collected than I expect when some of those fights are breaking out, but you can tell that Serenity is having a lot of fun playing together.
Yeah, and then Shysept had to tank Baron, and That was
I got
apparently
it,
the
I
most
got it.
dramatic moment of the whole thing, which was a good time. I think it's one of the things we've reinforced it a few times, but obviously this is a complete thing where not just the players, but also the things surrounding them, so managers, coaches, infrastructure, are something we're trying to teach these players and these people throughout the entirety of the program. One of the really cool things is that like these team names and logos aren't an accident. They actually got budget. They actually got like mentors to help design these things. So it's really cool to see a team pouring some effort and some budget into making some content for their team. That was a really sweet bit of content. I learned a lot about their team, which I assume was from a Scream game. So very nicely done sourcing footage, just from that 2-minute videos. So cool to see.
It's true. And you know what, going along what you were saying with the budget and the icons, normally when I've done gigs like this or events like this, there's always 1 or 2 icons that I'm just like, come on, like you guys can do better. But no, I feel like these are all really good icons. There's been so much put behind it. The Arcana, the tarot cards that we saw too. There's been some really cool graphics. There's been some adorable little pieces of art as well. So make sure you go and follow each of these teams on Twitter,
absolutely.
because they each have a page. Of course, all of the players as well have a page, some more active than others, but a lot of entertaining stuff has been coming out of Serenity, Astrocats, and Arcana on their actual Twitters.
Yep. Make sure you follow those accounts. We'll check in briefly with the draft. It is kind of business as usual. Rel continues to get banned away from Aloysia. Nobody wants to play against it. Unfortunately for her, because I'm sure she wants to play it. Swain gonna get banned by Farrago. I think that last series is, enough evidence to be like, yep, that one goes back on the chopping block. Don't want to play against it. And then 2 good supports, Nullis and Rakan, gonna get pinched here as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of focus on Billy Worth and Heloisha. Of course, Heloisha having those 2 main ones, those initiators, right? The tank initiators taken away from her, as we have seen far too many good things coming out of Serenity on the back of Heloisha's support plays here. So we'll have to see how Serenity decides to round this one out. The beginning of the day, we saw early picks focusing on the bottom lane, and then as the day has played out, it's been more of attempting to get counter picks towards the later picks, or the second pick phase. So it is going to be a Xin Zhao taken away, and that one is not a huge surprise either, because Fiku was absolutely disgusting on that champion last game.
Yeah, time to ban Javan, though, I think, for the Astrocats. We did see Shapeshift play it already. They even said in an interview, like, yeah, I don't really want to play it, but, like, they made me, and it's good. And, like, she's obviously scaling on the champion, and it's very good in the meta, so I wouldn't want to give it away, but apparently they're more afraid of Miss Teemo's Azir, which I can kind of understand, but I think Serenity's playbook here should be the same as they showed us earlier today. It's first pick Javan, which has been the pick for basically every team where this has been an option.
And I'm sure that if it's not the immediate lock-in, it's them having the discussion of, oh, okay, Shapeshift, yeah, we're probably gonna do the Jarvan, and Shapeshift's like, okay, all right, let's see, are there any other options? Probably not. No.
Sniddly angle.
There it is, exactly. Eventually, you got to convince Shapeshift that they are actually great at this champion. We did see a really good performance that they put up before, so hopefully that will work out well. And considering the Xin Zhao is also banned, kind of leads us to believe that that was the way Serenity was going anyway.
Yeah, my favorite thing actually from Shapeshift in the interview was like, because again, she self-admits to being like, I'm a full gear player, that's all I want to do, that's how I learned to get good at the game. Not an Italy one trick per se, but like spam that champion, knows how to play the game that way, and kind of only wanted to play that way. Not only said like, okay, like I'll branch out, I'll learn, it's like, yeah, I tried to clear and like I got good at it, so now I'll play the champion. I'm like, that lines up for a player that makes jungle clear videos and cares a lot about their farming efficiency.
Yep, exactly. That is definitely something that's always on the mind of Shapeshift. And I think, I think she's starting to realize, hey, you can excel at clears on anyone if you at least learn the most efficient way. And that's literally what she does, right? She spends almost more time in the practice tool than she does actually playing games. I'm not even joking here, just trying to find get the fastest clears. And that's where a lot of her world records come from. But interesting for Astrocats, a lot of confidence coming out here as we see the first 2 lock-ins are the Ashe and the Kazakhs, which we have seen them play against in replays, but not yet today.
Yeah, Admiral's Ashe, like a pretty well-known quantity, actually hit a ban earlier today, and I think generally a good champion, so not too surprised by that one. Kazakhs is something I feel like is floating around. It is very funny that we saw a video from Serenity playing against Kazakhs. Actually don't remember the jungle matchup, and now there's actually Kazakhs on the other side. I don't know who they were scrimming, whether it was Astrocats or another team, maybe that's not even in the event, right? We don't know what their practice generally has looked like, but they were kind enough to like hide their opponents' names, which I think is like a pretty good strategic choice, probably both for them and for you. But apparently we do get part of our wish, because that's potentially an enchanter in the bottom lane going to be paired up with that Zeri.
It is, and if I'm not mistaken, I know I had a note in here from early on. We did see Billy Worth pick up the Karma. That's what I thought.
Yes.
From week number 1 going up against Serenity, so it's kind of a playback on that, but this time it's Heloisia saying, all right, a lot can be done with this champion, and we are going to lock it in. You can pretend to be flexible on that one, but pretty convinced that Heloisia is going to be taking that into the bottom lane. And the final one to round things out, it's a pick for Fairy Girl. She gets to lock her own in, and it's that LeBlanc. You can take away as much as you want from her, but she's still going to be able to get in there and get out.
Yeah, actually, from memory, so quite a few LeBlanc bans in week 1, so kind of interested to see this come through, but I think teams are really focusing on jungle and AD in a lot of cases, or like just target banning, right, in a lot of instances where like, I don't really care what the meta says, I don't want to play against your Swain, so they're banning that instead of something like LeBlanc, which is maybe like a better generalist champion. I'm still terrified. LeBlanc is really oppressive in talented hands. Fairy Girl certainly has those. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Not the worst mid lane matchup for Karma, I might add. So the flex looking slightly better, although I am with you in that it is very unlikely to be really flexed. And I do think something like Karma helps you against something like Ashe when it's short range AD carry versus long range AD carry, because like you need some way to help you clear the wave and actually poke the 600 range Ashe. I think Karma gives you a lot of that, which is maybe why the pick makes sense here. Camille banned away alongside Jax. Jax doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Camille, honestly.
Yeah, that's true, especially given when you look at the champ pools, or at least recent picks from a lot of these players. Camille is used a lot. She's obviously one of the best side laners in the game. She offers a lot of utility, and when it comes to, you know, later game, the initiation and then the, you know, breaking away from these fights is certainly something that all of these teams have kind of focused their picks and bans around. So I'm right. You're right. I'm surprised we haven't seen more picks. We have seen quite a few Camille bans, though. I guess less this week than last week. Kale is going to be the final ban from Astrocats here. Basically, try to sweep the rug out from underneath Shysep, because we can see what happens when she's put on a champion that she doesn't really like to play as much, and she's definitely one of the more OTP players in all of LCS Game Changers, I've got to say. She prefers the Rengar. She prefers the Jax. She does have, you know, fallbacks, and she can play really well into any matchup, but we've seen her get camped consistently last week, and so I have a really bad feeling that Astrocats is going to realize if we push back Shy, there's not a ton that can be done.
I like how you say Kale like that's a very normal pick that we should all be expecting. It has been banned a few times,
Shy,
but
yeah.
I'm pretty confident it's like only against Tricept where this has been banned. So specialty ban and some good homework done by Astrocats and the rest of the team. Aatrox gonna get banned, just taking out a good generalist top laners. And then Billy White apparently is on like solo Braum duty, which I don't hate. She's been really good in it, so we'll see how it goes here.
Yeah, the Braum, you know, it was something Cam was saying, how it's that mix between like an enchanter, but also an engage, and having the disruption. And I can talk about concussive blows all day, every day. One of the greatest passives in the world.
It's good. It's good.
It is absolutely incredible being able to get that. And then the damage from Winter's Bite is actually pretty solid too, especially in the early parts of the game, as long as you don't spam it. But look at Serenity. We've got a Jace lock in here, and this. Now, I will say this is one of Shy's, like, Shy has, like, probably top 5, right, in champions. Kale and Jace are definitely parts of that. So it's not Jace. Okay, I'm actually a lot happier about that.
It could
because
still be Jace top, I guess.
It could. I guess we could have that singed. I mean, actually, this could be a variation of things, but I'm pretty sure that we've got that singed in the top lane, and then Ms. Timo taking the Jace. I just am not sure how familiar she is with that champion.
I am very curious. Jace LeBlanc is like, it's a tough one, but it's a skill matchup. So you could play it here and be okay, but it's pretty volatile. I like the on from Murmina. I feel like Murmina is either like absolutely hard carrying the game or is on. And that's a duality I can really appreciate for a player. I think Murmina is actually the only player to play on in this event as well. So interesting that she goes to it here. Singed typically is pretty good into tanks. Singed is also like turbo annoying against Ornn, because if you throw the glue at them, Ornn can never punch back his ultimate again. So Singed is actually like pretty common as a bit of utility against Ornn specifically. But I will never say no to Shysept whatever she wants to play. So
It's
I'm excited
true.
for Singed.
She's very aggro. You can see Muramina, at the very end of this pick ban phase, they're like, all right, we got enough damage. Muramina, we need a tank. We need some more engage. Call the Forge God is absolutely spectacular for this team as well, whether it's to engage or disengage. And they have a decent amount of range too. Fairy Girl's going to be able to pop in and out. Avril's going to be able to throw those enchanted crystal arrows from miles away. Hopefully get some damage in a lockdown. So I do like where Astrocats went with this draft. I'm very curious about Serenity's though. They keep making these really interesting picks, and somehow the craziest ones manage to work the best.
Yeah, team fights are gonna look wacky between these two drafts. I feel like it's like a weird. Both teams have like a weird blend of frontline poke and dive, I suppose, depending on where exactly you're looking at. Very curious how they want to navigate. I mean, I guess Zeri, well, both ADs should have a relatively straightforward job if the frontline stays intact for long enough, but this is a lot of damage, and I do like that at least Singe balances out some of the damage profile, because they did need some extra magic damage when they don't have a magic damage jungler, and they're obviously drafting mid like Jace. But you know what? Again, if there's any player I'm gonna trust with a random top lane champion, it's definitely Shysept. I just love that this player is willing to do whatever they feel could be good.
Yeah.
Also a team player, by the way. Like we heard in her interview, very much loves her team and like gets along with all of them. Is really excited to play in this environment. Just also plays Rengar top.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't seem like Rengar top would be a team player, but she defies all odds. And is a very confident player, too. You know, you're going to see her try to take, even if she's not in a counter pick, we're going to see her play aggro, right? Because in this game, there were even times where you can be going up into a mismatch up, right? Something that you should naturally lose, and you can sort of out-mental the other team by being aggressive, by pretending as though you have more control than you do, and that is definitely the kind of player that Shysept ends up being.
Here in mid, just having a quick check-in. Like I said, this is a matchup we've actually seen a decent amount this year. Definitely a lot on the skill of the players and navigating your damage properly. Shysept does pop the ghost. Waddles away. Was getting a little too low there. Again, you can't get hit by on brittle attacks. They do way too much damage.
Yeah, now that Ghost is down too, though, Muramina has got to feel a little bit more comfortable, and you have to be really careful about Fiku maybe deciding to jump early. Of course, we're expecting, a little bit of a longer clear from that player on the Kha'Zix, taking a little bit more time in the jungle that maybe Shapeshift would be able to. So that might be an opportunity for Serenity to get a little bit of a clapback. But we've already got some recalls coming through. Shysept, you can see, has taken that teleport back up to lane after taking just too much damage from Muramina.
Look, I didn't closely follow the jungle paths, but and I'm not an expert on jungle by any stretch of the imagination, but I will say I would be relatively confident that Kha'Zix generally is a pretty fast clearer, although not like the fastest ever. And Shapeshift is speeding through the jungle on Jarvan of all champions. So let no one ever tell Shapeshift that she does not do her homework when it comes to figuring out how to efficiently farm with these champions. That is a little thing, but kind of a cool thing to see early on in this game. A player known for a certain style, showing that style here, even in like a matchup where, it's not that kind of fast clear jungler.
It's a beautiful sight. Speaking of beautiful sights, Shy has once again decided that she would rather play in between two of the enemy towers than, towards her own. That is nothing new, but it's something she's going to go and continue with. She finds out, hey, I'm not really going to be able to come back from this one, so let's just get an execute.
I actually unironically like that play. Not having TP might get interesting, so I'll keep an eye on the wave. But that's totally a legitimate thing to do. The CS differential's looking a little too spicy, so I don't know exactly what has transpired up there. But Shysept definitely committing to the Singe style. It's not like full Scion, let's say, who can really lean in, or Karthus who can lean into something like that. But Singe does want to farm between towers if you can afford to. Perhaps Shysept getting a little too aggressive, but you love to see it. Certainly I love to see it, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, right. And Shysept also is a big fan of wave control, right? And that is definitely one of those things that on Singe, if you can try to get some of that wave control, if you can try to kind of throw off the priority on the lane, it's going to be an advantage that she tries to take here. So she regains that here as she pushes up into this tower. Another thing that you're going to expect from Shysept is the ability to get, before 14 minutes, as many plates as humanly possible. And she manages to do that generally quite quite well. She now navigates down towards the mid lane. We do, of course, have a bit of vision there, so Fairy Girl should be aware.
Actually wards the camp as well, so gonna probably, actually get a lot of info with that Scribe's Bloom being popped. Can probably assume that Fiku's on the bottom side of the jungle. Obviously, we know that because we can see everything. We're not that smart, don't worry.
Right.
Shapeshift's now going to get spotted as well by the hook shot out of Avril.
The benefit of no fog in our war.
God, I would be so much better at the game if it was like this.
If you could see everything. Yeah, but the problem is I think everybody else would also be better at the game, so
That's
I don't
true,
know if it would
actually.
compensate enough for me to,
Yeah, no,
to
it would not.
make use of that.
Solo kill?
Shy is on the wrong side of this, but she's able to dodge the knockback on that Ornn ultimate. She gets
Singed!
the flip. She gets caught up in the minions, and that was just an unfortunate play from her. In the meantime, maybe the rest of the team can also find something aside from a kill as the dragon is engaged upon.
Don't know if we're going to have a stab at this dragon, but Shapeshift's going to give it a go, it looks like. It's a 3v3 right now, so actually there's an angle. Flippy time! Doesn't grab it, and Unbreakable actually can stop Shapeshift in her tracks. Stun is there from that lovely concussive blows passive, and the kill's there as well as Avril going to collect it. Now looking for a second bit of extra credit, but none given here. They are going to rotate back through, and Billy Ware taking a little bit too much damage, but Yumichi is A-okay.
I like that little the poke in, right? The cannon coming from Ms. Teemo as well. She just runs up, right? Throws down the E, throws down the Q, just to say, hey, I'm here. I don't think it actually hit anyone, but it did make it so that Astrocat couldn't really fully engage, knowing that they would be safe. Ms. Teemo did just return back to their lane, so they're able to, not lose priority or anything. But I liked it. It was a nice little tip of the hat to say, hey, don't forget me. And now it's another 1v1. Shy is feeling really confident, but the dash from Muramina means that she'll get out alive.
Not quite 30 CS down, and Singe is doing this to people, by the way. Also a level down.
No,
Shy's
come on,
just
Shy.
going for it.
Come on, Shy, what are you...
We're running it.
Oh, the poison! No, the flag attempt. That was a
spellbook
good
heal?
shot. Oh, that was a good shot. And yes, I do believe that was. It has to have been. I think I heard that go off.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
flag definitely would have been the kill. That's why Shapeshift didn't even attempt to follow it up with a drag.
That's so funny. I mean, this is like I said, this is definitely a self-counter pick from Muramina. You do not pick on because it's a great time into Singe. Singe typically really runs, literally runs around tanks and can definitely abuse them if you kind of navigate yourself to the right position and get some levels, get some items. And we saw it already, the first 1v1 that almost went the right way for Shysep, but thankfully for Astrocats got Muramina, I believe, first blood, if I'm not mistaken. We'll hold that thought though, because Avril's going to have to flash away here. We did see the interaction of Singe W stopping Ornn from reusing the ulted. Still wasn't enough. Shysep maybe playing a little too aggressive, but understanding all of the things you generally should be doing in the counter matchup, which is nice to see.
She's very aggro, a little earlier than most Singe just would probably be in this matchup because Ornn does do quite a bit of damage in the early parts of the game, so you gotta watch out for that. It's interesting how little time we have spent observing the bottom side. Teemo trying to pull Fairy Girl into this one, and obviously it's not going to be the real one. But a lot of focus here on the mid lane. What I was saying was we haven't seen a lot of bottom lane, but look at this. We've got one kill here. We've got 2 plates down already, and you've got a lot of pressure coming out of Serenity.
Yeah, this is the Enchanter vs. Engage support kind of classic, even though Braum is more of the hybrid, as you mentioned. Karma is just so stupid good in 2v2, especially early on, and I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more Karma, to be honest. I feel like we might get a little bit more if there's going to be a lot of engage supports, but obviously a lot of these players feel comfy on the range supports. Karma is kind of maybe the perfect storm kind of champion, especially when bot lanes are pretty consistently trying to get leads. It's not like the end of the world or anything in the 2v2, but given that you're playing Ashe into someone like Zeri, this is a pretty impressive thing to be up, 12, 15 CS or so?
Yeah, and not only that, but you can also see Billy Worth, who's normally super aggro in the early parts of the game. No way hasn't been able to hit it. It was such a good attempt with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but almost an even better flash coming out of Ms. Teemo.
Goodbye, Shysept.
Hey, she does her, you do you, Shy. You continue to do Singe things.
I mean, you did say she likes wave control.
Yeah.
This is the most extreme way to get it. And again,
true.
It's not necessarily wrong. It is, as many things Singe does, funny. But usually with Singed, it's funny until you realize you're losing, which may happen. There is some scaling happening here for Shysept. The CS differential, I mean, Mermina can't be feeling too bad, but I do love the commitment from Shysept to really running it as Singed. And trying to play to the character's strengths.
Yeah, she's just like, dude, get some Swifty boots, you know? I will work on damage and tank later on. As we can see, she's actually focusing more on the damage to start things off. One plate's gonna go down, and that is not something that Shysept likes to happen against her. But yeah, when it comes to wave control, she is making sure that she has the pen here. She writes the script on this one, and every time she's died, she has kind of welcomed that.
Bottom lane shapeshift diving on in. Avril in trouble. That damage from the W is more than enough. And Yumichi cleans up an easy one. No assists actually for Karma. That feels like robbery.
That one's painful. You know what? She's fine. It's Karma. She does so much damage. She applies so much pressure already. Surprised we haven't seen more deaths here, but in they go. Billyworth is going to be taken down to about half health. And once again, Serenity controls priority on this bottom side as they move towards Drake.
Is there an angle here for Fairy Goal? Need a chain. Oh, the arrow was what the play they're trying to go for. Again, Fiku diving in. That's just going to be enough damage. Yeah, Fiku just rips Miss Tibo to shreds. And now the dragon's up on the table. Oh, is it insult to injury?
No
yes,
way!
it is! It's the support! That steals the dragon is going to have to pay for it. No, Billyworth yeeting on out of there. Does get a flash out of Zeri and gets the kill there as Yumichi grabs it. But still the fight continues. Yumichi now getting peppered with arrows, but the Singed is in and amongst it. Shysept from the top rope, dunking down on Singed. That's going to be a double kill for the LeBlanc, but Shysept's cleaning up house. That's the wrong one.
My
No,
gosh,
the flip. The 50-50 Fairy gets away.
What a play there. That was a wild series of events that occurred. We got the Braum steal on that dragon, and then the flash over the wall. Billy's like, I got out of this one. And, you know, while Billy didn't get out of it, it did take the flash away from Yumichi, which meant that she was in a more precarious situation, and that's why she was taken down there. Oops, my alarm's going off. Sorry, folks.
Ooh. All right,
yeah, let's look at that. That's what I was waiting for, the replay.
This
here.
arrow setup, I mean, Avril's so good at these setups on mid. Even though the arrow misses, though, it just doesn't matter. There's actually just enough damage. Okay, this is where it gets spicy. Oh, Bromo, you're kidding me.
Fissure? It was the fissure steal? No way. That's one for the books. I don't know if I've seen that before. This flash is fantastic as well. Billyworth goes over, like I said, forces the flash out of Yumichi, but then you follow it up with the root. You follow it up with plenty of damage coming out of this LeBlanc and, of course, coming out of Fiku. She does manage to get the double kill, though. So Fiku goes down in the long run, and Shy doing what Shy does best, which is not being shy when it comes to engaging.
Yeah, that's a Singed moment right there. Nice TP coming in. Make sure the fight kind of goes the right way. Gold, nice and even.
50
1,000
CS,
gold.
you know?
I'm telling you, I don't understand everything that's happening with how Singed and Honor interplaying here. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, okay? But the spirit of the champion is very much alive in Shysept.
Yes, a 1,500 gold differential between the two of those top laners, but when we look down at the bottom, Yumichi also has about 1,500 over Avril, so you got to feel good if you're dying for your Zeri to get more kills, because as this game scales up and out, we're going to be expecting a lot more coming from Yumichi, and since Serenity has the advantage really when it comes to like mobility and movement speed, this is working out really well for this team, and we're looking at just over 14 minutes, almost all of the plates being taken down here for the bottom side for Serenity.
I think they're going to dive. I think Avril's in trouble. Never mind, there's no wave. If that wave was any bigger, I almost guarantee you Shapeshift is just sending it. Instead, they'll just scan through the jungle, see what they can see.
I liked that little play that they were doing, though, where the bottom lane was moving up, and basically you had like a parallel, 10 feet away, shapeshift on the other side of the wall in the fog of war so that you couldn't see on the side of Avril. And yeah, we might actually be seeing something here. There are pings coming through, but there's no movement away by the side of Astrocats. They're not quite responding to this one. It's a little too risky.
Well, here's Mermina. Also, they now know where the jungler is because Fiku just finished the Rift Herald. Kind of something I had to give up there. Arrow is going to go just wide, but I'm not sure Shapeshifter's in too much trouble. Anyway, it's mid lane, actually. They want to play. Miss Team are getting bursted. This combo, once again, it's 2 assassins and 1 dead enemy champion.
And able to stay alive here. Do you have a quicker recall? Oh, Fairy Girl jump away from that Cataclysm. That's got to feel bad if you are Shapeshift, but you do have the side of Eloisia and Shy steps back there. Shy comes in. Shy says, I poison, I flip, I kill.
Nicely done there. Has the Scepter done as well, so seems already a pretty frustrating, pretty disruptive champion. Completing kind of that first core item for him as a champ is going to make things rough as Shysep's going to continue to... I mean, it kind of, like, again, I don't know her as well as maybe you do, but from the interview we did get, which was wonderful, again, cannot recommend Astrocats interviews enough, especially from this event, LCS Game Changers. I feel like running around in circles, laughing maniacally, definitely fits the personality that I was displayed in her interview.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
I know Shy pretty well. Actually, Shy, we used to play a lot of games together like a couple years ago before she started doing as much streaming as she does now. She's a fun one to watch, by the way. So
Oh, I
again,
bet.
there's a lot of players on here that stream almost daily, and Shysept is definitely one of those. You can catch her usually later at night. So if you're a night gamer like I am, she's incredibly fun to chat with, and checks her Twitch chat as well a lot. So she's very interactive.
There you
But
go.
that's part of the fun part, right? And I have seen just as much of Shy absolutely decimate the enemy team as I have seen Shy get decimated by the enemy team. So she's a volatile player, but that's what makes it so fun to watch.
All right, Terrell dropped in mid. Astrocats are over it. They're trying to break open this game a little bit here, get themselves a bit more of a tangible lead. Herald charges in. Shysept, no flippy allowed, and that is going to destroy that turret there. Give some gold over. Open up critical space here. Gold's still even, but access to the dragon much easier now. And Astrocats are the team currently snowballing this objective.
Miss Timo trying to pork out Fairy Girl over there, who's going to jump over the wall. It looks like maybe Serenity's trying to just say, all right, you guys go for it. Take the dragon. We're just going to work on your tower here. But Astrocats have actually kind of turned this one around. They're responding instead to what Serenity is doing. Avril misses. The Ornhorn is actually going to hit four members onto the backside. Flag and Dragon following up with the Cataclysm, but it's a flash away from Billy Worth on the backside. Heloisia has to flash out herself. Fairy Girl taking too much damage, and Zeri's not going to get the kill, but they do send her away, and now it's a switch over to Fiku, who's going to die, if not from the Ignite, then from Yumichi. A double kill over to her, but a double kill in response as well by Fairy Girl. You're feeling good if you're an Astrocats fan. The chase is on. You can't chase a Singed, but Singed can chase you.
This is absolute madness. These team fights, everyone is just exploding. Singed is like running into the back. We're still chasing Fairy, by the way. She's gonna die. Actually, the shutdown went to Yumichi, which is maybe the slightly worse of the two things that could have happened. Although Yumichi's now worth more gold. All right. Shysept is like running disruption. No ability to cancel this all ulti though, so it gets a massive knockoff, but there's no real follow-up. Shapeshift dies in, thinking we have a low support. Dragon's being finished, and then Zeri happens. Yumichi pops the ulti, starts clicking on people. Heloisia runs away, and look at Shysept and Yumichi. It's just a tank and a carry. It's League of Legends 101.
And classic Singed 3v1 that does not go in the one's favor, or that does not go in the three's favor, rather. I love this. I love how we're continuing on through that. The W not quite hitting there, but Fairy Girl, hey, maybe realizing that wasn't the play that she wanted.
I mean, no options, unfortunately, for Fairy Girl.
Yeah.
Does go down. Does give kill number 6 over to Yumichi with Infinity Edge now finished as well. I feel like I just watched two assassins dive each other's backline, and like while the front line is like trying to make sure things are okay. But one of the assassins was Zeri, which is, you know, I guess the thing that happens sometimes. Romina trying to line up this solo, but Miss Timo, very good. Here's Heloisia as well.
Ooh, I liked that. You can see Miss Timo is like, let me get behind you so I can E you. I can knock you back towards Heloisia. See if we can get some more damage here. Shapeshift as well, making her way up. Didn't work out quite as they had planned, but still a lot of summoners down on both sides here, actually, as Serenity used a good amount of theirs in the previous play. Dragon was picked up, and if you're Astrocats, hey, you're looking for a soul, that's a nice win con.
Yeah, and if you're a Serenity fan, you are cheering for Yumichi, who is the current antagonist of this game. This Zeri is primed to take over fights, and basically has taken over all the fights that have happened. Despite all that, the gold is still even, which is quite impressive. Also, by the way, Shysept hasn't caught up in CS yet, but is actually worth 300 extra gold, which is 150 more than the bonus gold that Muramina is worth. So, again, the scoreline not always reflective of actual performance. Shysept is doing her job in these team fights, creating so much space for Zeri to run around and shoot people. I said it when the game started that I thought team fights would be kind of wild, and they still are. It's just there's so much to keep track of because both teams kind of want to do the same thing, but again, both have some dive. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of fights like the one we saw at the Dragon fight where they're super spread apart, which actually gives room for assassins to like do the thing that Biku's kind of trying to do now. Good dodge block there from Shapeshift. Base tanks the arrow. Everything's going to be A-okay. I mean, I don't know if it's just going to be objective fight after objective fight, which it might be given that we have a soul to fight for in a minute 30. Serenity must fight for every dragon here on out. It's gonna be chaos. Good luck, Jolly.
It already has. Yeah, right.
That's true.
Hey, you know what? The split fights are often the hardest because you kind of focus in on one side, right? And you potentially miss a lot that's going on the opposite. But it's funny that you mentioned, you know, things seemingly being the side of Astrocats, but this gold being the same. I mean, you're looking at 3 dragons, right? You're looking at 2 towers compared to the 1 objective that we have marked down here for Serenity. And like you said, almost exactly even gold. And that has a lot to do with how Yumichi has had some really good opportunities thanks to these awesome setups that Shapeshift and Shysept have been providing. So Shapeshift, it looks like, is struggling a lot, but every single time she has gone in really as like a sacrificial lamb. She's gone in knowing that she has enough damage backing her up that it will be worthwhile.
Yeah, just eyes on the Zeri. If Zeri dies, I think the team fights are borderline impossible at this point in the game for Serenity, but Yumichi has done a great job of being very self-reliant. Zeri is like kind of frustratingly good at doing things on her own, which is one of the reasons she's so good and gets so many pentakills. Obviously has been toned down a little since then, but this is the kind of Zeri that absolutely takes over games. So we are going to land up for this dragon fight here. Serenity know what they have to do is not give this dragon away.
That means we get the TP out of Muramina. Ooh, looks like almost all ultimates are up and available. Shy is going to pop hers. Out comes Call of the Forge God. Is going to knock up 2 members. Shysept has to kind of get the heck out of dodge. Concussive blows. Slows her down, and in goes Muramina. Out comes the Glacial Fissure. It's a lot of damage on Shy, but she's fast enough to get away. And the damage is coming back through by Yumichi on the opposite.
Oh, no!
She's probably going to go down here as the fight continues to split. It's Ornn that picks up that kill. Shy still managing to stay alive. This chain should be enough to do it, though, and Ms. Timo now has to run with her tail tucked between her legs back to this mid tower.
I feel like the plan was correct. They just didn't have enough stats to get it done. I'm curious to watch that one back again, but unfortunately, Astrocats with that might just go straight to Baron, and we talked about the game being even. The game is not going to be even anymore after this Baron.
No, absolutely not, especially considering how much more pressure Astrocats have had. That was a very unfortunate fight for Serenity and their fans. I like the items as well that we can see are being purchased. Roa has been locked down here by Shysept, and that's just, I mean, par for the course, right? That's exactly what you got to expect, the unexpected.
5 Baron buffs did go over, by the way. I think they might have waited for a respawn, so Astrocats are going to have everyone wearing purple. Serenity making the right play, tempoing back towards this dragon, but obviously Astrocats are going to try and stop that. Varigal actually TP's down to get the wave pushing. They should take this dragon. I don't think anything bad's going to happen, but maybe it will. It's always possible.
Hey, it's not my job to think, and so I'm not going to try that hard. I just have to talk about what's already happening, and it looks like it's an enchanted crystal arrow that comes through, followed up by Call of the Forge God. This is Astrocats looking really hard to continue this fight. Out comes Concussive Blows onto Shysept, who continues to get popped up. Shapeshift decides to jump in with the Cataclysm. Biku taking a little too much damage, has to take cover under this bush. The Glacial Fissure onto the backside. Shapeshift just taking a little too much, and 4 members of Astrocats are able to burn down these runners from Serenity. The next target's Yumichi, who does have the tower, but there's a lot of damage on the side of Astrocats. Looks like they'd rather just take over the jungle.
So it turned out the answer to like chaotic split fights with like kind of wonky frontline, especially on the Serenity side, where it's like a J4 and a Singe running a lot of interference to try and make space for the Zeri, was to pick Braum. Look at how much work Braum passive does here after this on ulti, which, you know, gets a couple, kind of keeps him out of the fight. Shysept gets stunned, and it's just slows on knockups and slows. Like, yeah, Shysept's tanky, has a bunch of tenacity from the Singe ult being popped. Shapeshift is trapping them in. The front line is just tanky enough, and Zeri just doesn't do quite enough damage to win the rest of this fight, as Braum blocks all the incoming damage from the Zeri Qs. Like, if Yuichi had like half another item or another full completed item, or if Bromie didn't come back up, like there are so many ways for Yuichi to win this fight, and it must feel so frustrating as Zeri sometimes, because it's like, I am so fed, let me carry, and then you're getting bromed 24/7.
Yeah, you can't stop. You can't stop the Braum. But like I said, the Winter's Bite is also really satisfying when you get the damage on that, the slow that applies, and then the follow-up that you're able to watch. As long as a couple autos or abilities get knocked off, you are good to go. Ms. Timo was also quite aggressive on that one. I feel like maybe it could have been a lot less of a loss for the side of Serenity if Ms. Timo didn't go back and re-engage onto 4 members. She does a lot of damage, but not quite enough to supplement the team when they're up against, you know, a Kha'Zix and a LeBlanc.
Oh, goodness. Night Harvester, Static Shiv, LeBlanc. That's going to be a kill. Fair going there on a rampage. And Lichbane. Oh, good. Lichbane also didn't even notice that when that play started. That is a lot of burst damage coming with the LeBlanc. We already kind of saw it in mid lane in the early stages of the game where Kha'Zix and LeBlanc were teaming up to bully Ms. Timo. Doing the same thing again. It's just 26 minutes instead of 6 minutes.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? At least Serenity was able to prevent that soul from going over just yet. You know, as I talk about the unfortunate play by Ms. Timo, we can take a look at the scoreboard, and while she's been doing a great job of maintaining CS and trying to keep up positioning, there are just a lot of deaths on this player. Ooh, a nice little buffer there, but that ends up actually leading Yumichi to being underneath that glacial fissure. They luckily are on the opposite side of this red buff circle, though, so it's not going to be more than a couple jungle steals coming out of Astrocats.
Yeah, not too bad. I feel like this happens a lot to Jace. Like, across all levels. Jace is just one of those champions where it's tough to play Jace when your team's out ahead, and the front line feels robust enough between the Ornn and the Braum that Jace poke is just not doing what you need it to do, and damage thresholds feel pretty close. This is not going to be close, by the way. This is Ms. Timo exploding. Does have to flash.
It happens a little too much. At this point, it's really unfortunate to be playing as Ms. Timo here because the rest of your team is trying to make some space along the map, right? Getting pressure here in the mid side. Shy, of course, trying to side lane and get some pressure towards the bottom. As Ms. Timo, you just have to stand under tower and realize that you're losing a lot of experience. You're losing out on a lot of gold, but it's not worth the risk of trying to push forward.
No, thankfully does just have to commit to flash, and a pretty worthwhile one off the back of what just happened. Oh, that was adorable. Little side swap there. Shapeshift Cataclysms to safety. Think you're going to dive on in. On ulti is going to cause some problems, and that is going to be a support knocked up as Yumichi is actually trying to unleash hell. There we go. Flashing on in, takes out the Karma, but Yumichi's still kiting out. Had the Zeri ult ticking. VQ on the other side does kill the Peeling Singed. So Shystep was trying to flank and does get punished. 2 for 0, but that's all. Astrocats still ahead, but Serenity's still in the game.
These split fights are really impressive as well. Braum moving forward, trying to get some vision down. Ends up having to use the Glacial Fissure to try to get out, and the rest of the team isn't there to try to jump to. Stand beside or behind me, Muramina, as Billy Worth gets a little bit of assistance here. But it's just not enough. There's so much tankiness. There's so much, you know, disengage potential and burst potential coming out of Astrocats and Serenity. They're kind of, you know, looking down the end of a rope.
I just can't believe Billy Worth is that tanky on Braum. I think that was without Unbreakable too. Like, just
I think
so
the shield
frustrating.
Was up at the beginning, maybe.
Oh, maybe. That would make way more sense.
Yes.
Also, stand behind me gives you resist as well. So,
Yep.
I mean, Braum, again, like he's a tank support, like innately relatively tanky. But I feel like with the 3-item Zeri firing at you, would have taken a bit more damage. Now maybe this is where the difference can be made. Spear of Shojin finally done for Yumichi. Finishing item number 4. Astrocats are looking like they're going to get the soul here. Don't think we have anyone in on route. Yeah, in fact, I can see where Shapeshift is on the Baron side of the Rift. So maybe going to be a delayed trade for the Baron, but certainly going to have to give the soul over here.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a worthwhile trade there because it's pretty obvious to Astrocats where the team might be. They saw Singed on the bot side, and they also saw her recall. So Shystep does manage to teleport back in. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to hit an unfortunate member here for Serenity. Out comes Call of the Forge God. Piloisia is able to stay alive. Shystep takes so much damage, but she manages to stay alive too. And it's Fairy with so much damage. The Fairy carry. She might be able to stay out of this one alive, and she does. But no, it's the Static Shiv that ends up taking her down. It's Piku hopping away from Ms. Timo, who's able to get some cannon damage out. But a bit too much of a split fight. No! I was gonna say maybe, not apparently for Yumichi, who wants to get the kills. Oof, caught between a rock and a hard place and a bush.
too spicy. Oh, I don't hate the angle. Yumichi looking for heroics on the back end of that play. That was the team fight I thought I was going to get like 10 minutes ago when Zeri had 3 items and 6 kills. I'm like, oh baby, it's the Zeri angle. I'm excited for the penta kill. And I just didn't feel like Yumichi did enough damage. Now Yumichi definitely does enough damage. But the team fights again, the space they're played in is so large that not even the static Shiv Zeri with ult on can chain hit enough people to win. It's just wild.
It really is. I have to commend Billyworth as well on these glacial fissures.
This Brom is overperforming.
Absolutely insane. And not only that, you know, when you play champions like Nautilus, like Braum, with these passives that you can just apply to each individual champion, the best way to go about it is literally just use, you know, Winter's Bite to try to proc that or apply it to somebody, and then just walk in and auto each individual member, right? And whoever you have a better chance of, you can send the double auto onto it. The rest of the team already has the stun down. There's another glacial fissure, literally almost right when it comes up. Billyworth's like, all right, where am I throwing my ulti?
Yeah, Avril with an exceptionally good arrow this time around. Had a lot of close calls, trying to set things up, but absolutely nails that one for the eventual delayed double. Really nicely done. And this is definitely like a... It's funny, like we talk like, oh, like why don't they play Enchanters? Karma seems so good, and yeah, in lane it was good. But this is one of the reasons people don't like them as much. They are moving targets in a lot of cases when you're behind. Karma with all her shields is real easy to pick off for these assassins.
It does look like Fairy didn't get the Baron buff.
Sag.
That must have been a pretty close one. Meaning her split doesn't provide as much as you would think, but hey, what you think doesn't matter. It's what they're able to do. And Astrocats say, we've got full control. We're going to take towers. We're going to take inhibitors. Now we've got super minions coming through 2 lanes. Who cares if, you know, this top didn't go exactly how we were planning? Shapeshift is probably the one that's, I would say, really struggling. Aside from Ms. Timo, of course, as we can see, who did manage to get her first KP of the game.
Yeah, this is nice, and I'm gonna have to copium and say this game is still playable, but it's tough. Like at this point, the wallet is gonna start to really do the damage. I mean, again, like Zeri, if left to her own devices against 5 target dummies, will absolutely win the team fights. I just don't think LeBlanc and Ornalt and Kha'Zix and Asher and Brom passive is not going to find a way to kill this area, especially because Yumichi doesn't currently have space to buy Cleanse or Scimitar. Might, you know, trade it out for the last item. Does have Black Cleaver as the full build. I mean, there's maybe something here, but you have to find a fight soon. You're about to lose triple inhibs. In fact, you've lost triple inhibs.
Yeah, can't do anything about that. Now you're basically just waiting for Serenity to make, or sorry, for your Astrocats to make their decision. Are they going to start a fight here? Yes, they are. Call the Forge God comes through. Look at the damage onto the backside, though. Fairy Girl takes down the one. A flash in by Billy, where down goes everyone. Yumichi's the last player left alive. It is almost a clean, it won't be a clean ace, but close to it. It's going to be a game ender, though, for sure, in favor of Astrocats.
Okay, well, it turns out the wallet diff was a little too heavy in that particular game. Zeri lived the entire time, and the rest of her team died.
Hi, Cam. Hi. I saw you leaning back. I saw you, hands behind your head watching that game. That was how was that for you? That was entertaining.
That was a good one. I actually really liked that game. Astrocats specifically, I think, really got to show not just domination, but domination in a very controlled fashion and playing really strongly to their team comps that game. I counted, I think, 3, I guess maybe 4 if you count Kha'Zix as well, I would say off-meta comfort picks for these players. So that's kind of what I want to talk about between these games really quickly, is the fact that we get to see these comfort picks today, and you would probably never see, a Singed Top in LCS, right? Like, I don't see a Singed Top coming anytime soon.
Yeah, sorry, we only get Singed mid when JoJo feels like trolling.
I do feel like so far, I mean, most of Shy's picks have been like that, right? When you talk about the Rengar in general, not seeing that. What we talked about, the Alawi earlier today that we saw picked up by her. So she's she's definitely not a standard top laner, but she makes it work. And it's usually the damage dealers that she finds more success in, champions that can control lanes. So the Singed falls in line with what she plays because of the ability to control. I think just there wasn't quite enough damage in the early parts towards the top side of the map that Jace just got bullied so hard too. So what do you make of the mid lane matchup there? How do you feel about that Jace pick towards the end? Cam, I'm asking you since you've been gone. Sorry.
I thought the Jace pick obviously was a little rough during the game, right? Like, when you pick Jace, you're picking him, at least in the current meta, I think, for poke comps. And the way that Astrocats were playing this game literally never allowed for Serenity to have time to poke them down, right? Like, every single 5v5, every single team fight was started by Astrocats and started the second all 5 of them were there. There was never, like, an extended Dragon Dance. There was never an extended time in mid lane where we were all just standing around looking at each other. Like, obviously there shouldn't be that, but the fact that there wasn't kind of lended itself to the fact that the Jace pick, I think, didn't get as much leverage as you probably would have liked to see from it in the draft. As just a reminder as well, we will be playing in the LCS studio in Los Angeles for finals in just 2 weekends from today. Got exclamation point tickets to claim your free ticket. If you would like to come and watch us in person in the LCS studio, once again, they are free. Nothing better than a free ticket to the LCS studio.
And the other thing I want to remind people of is, because this is our last game of the day coming up next, go follow these teams on Twitter.
Yeah.
Absolutely highly recommend. They're all great. They're putting out content. They're like figuring it out and like, you know, taking the learnings they've had from this program and applying it to, you know, running this team as a real esports team, because, you know, that's what it is, at least for whether it's just a short period or beyond, I don't know, but it's cool to see everyone learning and taking stuff away. So if you want to know more about teams, more about the players, that's the place to go. You can see the Twitter handles on your screen right now.
Go follow them.
Unfortunately, can't copy paste from the Twitch chat. That would be sick. But
I was pulling up my tabs, like, all right, I know I've got them here somewhere. Pretty obvious when you got, you know, Astrocats and Arcana who have the GC tag at the end there, right? They're 4 game changers, and hopefully we'll see more than just game changers out of these teams, especially with the org hookups that we've got. And you know what? Actually, speaking about that, I did misspeak when it comes to I said that not all teams have, you know, a little bit of a matchup with an organization, and I was wrong. Serenity actually has gained the attention of Team Liquid.
very nice.
I didn't know that.
I read Twitch. That's literally like the reason I read Twitch chat, because if I say something wrong, somebody will correct me.
Don't worry, they'll correct you if you say something right too.
That's true too.
That's true.
You gotta get good at figuring out which is which.
That's a good point. It's a good point. I believe them here though, because I do think I got a little bit of a notification, or at least an agreement from production. So that's
Okay.
one that I feel
Production
pretty
is always
confident
right.
about. Yeah.
I hope so.
As someone in production, technically, I say nothing.
Yeah, it's fine. We don't. Hey, you know what? Production. Speaking of production, though, we love Brad. Brad has done a fantastic job with
Absolutely.
with Game Changers, and honestly, it's been so much fun to be part of this broadcast. 3 play-by-plays you expect is kind of going to be crazy, but they had faith in us. They
We're
told
doing
us,
it.
you know, you guys can figure it out, and we are doing it. And not only that, but these games that we've seen, these teams are giving us so many team fights. So as a play-by-play, I don't mind sharing these whatsoever.
Yeah, as someone that's actually done triple play-by-play once upon a time for an event, it's a good time. A lot of yelling. We didn't get to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
In
you
our
know,
hearts.
color caster, play-by-play, at this level, everything's the same, right? We can all do team fights, we can all do hosts, and we can all do whatever we feel like it is. But moving towards the 6th and final game for the LCS Game Changers today, you do see at the bottom of your screen, Serenity versus Astrocats. Same matchup, in fact, same sides as well. Again, loser takes side select for game number 2, so Serenity did again select the blue side. Any giraffe strategies you think might stay the same, might change, Jolly?
You know, I would assume that probably the bans are going to stay similar. But I would hope at least that maybe Ms. Timo gets a little bit more of a priority on picks. They were the last one in that, and it seems like they kind of threw the Jason because they're like, shoot, we need more damage, right? We need more ability to poke. But like you had said just a minute ago, Astrocats didn't really give them the opportunity to do that because of the composition. So maybe focusing towards mid, getting a little bit more action there. This is one of the games that we actually saw probably the least action like in the mid lane, or at least around the mid lane, even though there were so many attempts at big plays there. I mean, bottom lane has been doing great. Top lane has been doing great. Yeah, I want to see a little more mid jungle synergy, I think, in the picks.
I also think like you can see some of Shapeshift's like unfamiliarity with Jarvan on display in this game as well.
Yeah.
But I think that shouldn't mean she should shy away from the pick. In fact, I think you should do the opposite. If it's available, you should take it because it's really good. And this is like the opportunity to like learn and improve and like push yourself out of your comfort zone and play more for your team. Because there is some level of like not enough jungle attention with all the tools that Jarvan has that's destabilizing the lanes a little bit. Like, granted, Shyshep is also doing this herself, which is fine. Like, that's the lane you pick for yourself. That's the way you want to play. That's totally cool. But I think like giving yourself more reps is going to help you, especially looking towards next week and also the finals week more than anything else, because you're going to want to be really sharp on a champion like Jarvan come the finals for a game changer. So I would say like don't adjust too much in draft. I think you can maybe adjust some of how you're playing, and maybe mid you can adjust a little. I think Jace is just a champion that's always a little feast or famine, so maybe something a little bit more stable if you're going to have Zeri games that are that smooth and get to like 6 kills and 6 items. I think you can maybe slow the game down a little bit and be fine just kind of playing for late if you want to pick Zeri.
Personally, that top lane matchup, I mean, that top lane game was probably my favorite top lane game that we've had so far in the LCS Game Changers. Singed versus Ornn. I mean, 2 champions. I mean, you probably could have guessed that we would have seen Ornn a lot during this tournament, but Singed probably not so much. And I love that we kind of got to see a little bit of the Sion gameplay in the Singed as well, you know, like dying between the towers, taking as many waves as possible, having as little interaction with the enemy top laner as possible. I thought that was a lot of fun to watch and definitely not something that we get to see a whole lot. So if I'm not going to have a prediction for draft personally, but I would just like to say I would like to see a similar top lane something happen in this final game of the day.
Now you have to give us your prediction. Now you have to. Yeah. Actually, you know what? You asked us. You asked, well, not even in the matchup. I just want to say in the overall, because you did ask us before the series started, and Pastry Time and I agreed that we think it's going to be a 1-to-1. And I did say I think Astrocats is going to take game 1, and then Serenity might take game 2. Do you feel like Serenity has this one, or do you think it's another Astro sweep?
Oh, I mean, if Astro wins this, they're already a little bit on a win streak right now. 3-game win streak is a win streak. 4-game win streak, even better of a win streak, but I kind of want to agree. I want to say Serenity is going to take down the Astrocats for the final game.
Funny, I was going to say maybe I want to flip-flop. Astrocats look really good right now.
Oh,
they do.
I win. I'll hold to my prediction. I'll hold to my own one. But
he won't. He'll just allude to it. That's fine. That's fine. As long as you don't put the stamp of approval on there.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I learned this from my best friend Mark Zimmerman, who's the advanced prediction flip-flopper. Play both sides, always come out on top.
Yeah. I mean, it's a volatile choice. I was gonna say, from in the past, that did not work out well for him. But we'll see, because Astrocats they look really good, and there can be a lot said about like momentum in these games, right, Cam?
Yeah, I think the momentum of being on a 3-game win streak now definitely comes into play for this final game. Serenity didn't play in the second matchup of the day, so they got that time to VOD review from the first matchup, say, okay, we lost. It was 1-1 in the first matchup, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so we lost 1 game, not 2 games, luckily, but we can go back. We have 2 games to VOD review this 1 game that we lost, and now we're going up against a team that we lost 0-2 to last week. What can we do to improve, right? What can we do to change the draft strategy a little bit, change the in-game strategy? That game in itself definitely screamed, we have decided to change something. That something obviously didn't work for that game. So maybe they're going to change something else entirely for this next game. And based on last game, it was quite exciting to see that the draft is finally ready. Take it away from final game, game 6.
Woo! This is it. This is Serenity's time to shine. And, you know, I do want to ask, okay, so this is the second now series in a row where the blue side hasn't quite been utilized to its advantage, yet it has been picked once again. So do you think it's for, like, that Jarvan early pick, or what is your thought behind it?
Yeah, it's definitely for, like, I mean, it's kind of the classic thing with League. You're picking blue side because you want a power pick. Typically, there's, like, a handful of champions that are good enough that they're worth getting over everything else. Usually, phase 1 of draft is like banning out most of them and trying to get one of them. Sometimes, usually get none of them. And I think, especially when there's so many target bans, you have a little bit more wiggle room to like open up a tier 1 champion like Jarvan. So I mean, it's just generally historically the better side. I think, like, not by a lot, by like a couple, like 1 or 2%, which is a lot over the scope of a many games the competitive landscape, but not a super significant one. I think the other thing is also just makes things a little more straightforward for you, right? If you just like ban some champs and pick the power pick, like it's a little easier for you to navigate. So I think it is worth it. Again, I think Shapeshift Draven is good. I think she should keep playing it, and definitely, again, something you want to get reps in. So I don't mind sticking Blizzard here. Actually, I like it. I think it's probably the de facto best side for the tournament. Like Cam and I saw in the last week, we had like one instance of like that not being the case, and then it was Blizzard all the way down. And I think that's probably going to be the case for any team with side selection.
You know what? That has not been the case today, though, right? Because both these teams, I think it was Arcana in the last one, they got side selection. They picked blue twice in a row, and they ended up losing twice in a row to Astrocats. So maybe it's just that Astrocats destroys on the red side, and maybe this is they're like, oh yeah, take blue side, oh no, take blue away from us, and really it's exactly what they wanted from the beginning.
Maybe. I'll call it speculative, but I'm interested. I'll see if we get any more data, I suppose. Is Draven actually going to get banned there? So Shapeshift doesn't want to take it again. I'm screaming Lilia if I'm the coach of Astrocats here, because I don't think you want to give it over. And if they don't ban it, I really hope Shapeshift picks it. I was actually the champion I was looking for last game, because I saw Jason. I was like, oh, we need magic damage somewhere. Jungle would be a great spot to get it. Oh, I wonder if Lilia is open. And I was pretty confident she wasn't. Azir's banned, so Lilia is open. So I'm looking at you, Serenity. Where is the Lilia?
Yeah, we saw Shapeshift run the Lilia last week as well. Granted, that game didn't go in favor of Serenity, but it was a much closer game, I would say, to kick things off. The Azir banned out, not a big surprise. Again, Miss Timo, they don't want them to have that, but a complete change in Serenity's bans. And instead, they are going to take away the Swain from Fairy Girl that we saw her do so well on previously.
I wonder if there's a Swain player on Serenity. It could be Shysep, for what it's worth. That could absolutely be the Swain player. It could also be Yumichi, if they play mages. That is somewhere else you can play it. So I doubt it's a flex. Like, it's unlikely, but it is possible. If it's not a flex, if it's a guaranteed mid laner, I'm a little concerned, because typically when you take a specialist champion away from a specialist, you're usually dooming yourself, because the thought is you don't know the champion and the matchups as well as they do. And Fairy we knows Swain inside and out. So I'm curious, and because of those reasons, I'm speculating that this might be a flex Swain. Or maybe I just don't understand that actually the teams play Swain and Rakan's up, everyone's happy. I was literally
gonna say these first two as the picks, because
there you go, look at you go.
Because so Serenity, I mean, I think I was alluding to a complete change in their bans for this phase. In the last game, it was Swain, Rakan, and Xin. And when you ban out the J4 and you don't take the Xin and you take something like a Swain, that is something Astrocats is definitely going to pick up. We saw Fiku perform really well on the Xin Zhao, and we know that one of Billy Ware's favorites is Rakan, but of course on the other side, we're seeing some more new blood here, and it is a Belveth.
All right, I know exactly what's happening here. Okay, I like this from Serenity. This is them saying, like, okay, first of all, I don't know about the Swain yet. So maybe Miss Timo plays Swain, maybe it's a flex somewhere else. We'll find out later. I do know that Shapeshift, we all know actually, if you listen to the Ash King interview, which you should be. Oh my god, what is going on?
I love this team. I want it to work every time too, but it seems like so far, when they go out on a limb, it's a little too wobbly, right?
No, I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. Oh, I'm here for it. It does feel kind of like Serenity is they're throwing in everything, right? They're saying, all right, you know what? If we already lost the first game, let's see what we can kind of pull out and maybe throw the opposition off. And then on Astrocats, you got a Seraphine, who is not very meta anymore. It might be going in the mid lane here, so maybe they're trying to do some counter flexibility, but it could also, I mean, there's a possibility that Avril decides to take it in as the ADC. I like how much is kind of in the air so far as we get into the second ban phase.
They ban the Cinch. I mean, the Cinch was pretty annoying, like I will say. Shysep was very effective, especially in team fights, being really disruptive. I don't know, like, I felt like Brom did more than enough work to disrupt the Cinch, but maybe just not wanting to play against it again. I mean, kind of been the most fun interactive lane for Miramina either, even though the lane went fine. When someone's like running between your towers, farming all the minions, you kind of feel like, hey, what am I supposed to do? But yeah, this is a power, to circle back, power farmer, like the power farming jungler for Shapeshift. Like, I know she's known for her Italy and really loves that champion, but if you want to pick like ultra turbo mega fast clear jungler, Bel'Veth is, I think, the champion you go to. This champion is supersonic clear speeds.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And definitely one of Shapeshift's tops, like you were talking about, top champs. You know, from my notes at least that I was taking when I was doing some digging on her, obviously the Nidalee is huge, but recently Viego, Lilia, and Bel'Veth have been really big for her as well. So I'm not super surprised that that is the lock-in here. You know, the Swain pickup was good. The third pick from either team, though, definitely kind of gave me a little bit of a whiplash. In terms of like win conditions, right? We've got the Kale banned out one final time, so the expectation for Astrocats is that this Swain is not going to Shy Seps, right? They're anticipating Ms. Timo taking it into the mid.
Yeah, that's my assumption as well. The other thing I want to point out, and Senna does this a lot because you can build so many different center lanes, you can kind of do a similar thing with Seraphine. I was going to say, like, I know Billyworth loves Sona, and Seraphine is, like, kind of like Soda, but not exactly like Soda. And I was like, oh, I wonder if they could get Sona in here. That would be so fun. They still can get Sona in here if they really want to and play a double enchanter, like, bot lane. I think now that you picked on, you're definitely not doing that, and you're going to play, like, the hardest late game carry you can find. Zaya's still up, Kaiser's still up, and Avril's going to have a great time with all this protection, all this frontline. Well, on the other side, your guess is as good as mine how we're going to end this draft, because I did not expect to start with Swain, Bel'Veth, Senna, and now Sion.
No, and now Sion. So that's obviously, you know, one of the Shy specials. And when you've got Rakan in there, right, you're kind of like, okay, that's a Billyworth champion, right? So you kind of have to assume that that's where that's going. I would like to see something different. Avril, obviously, if you know Avril, you know Ezreal, right? So I know that that's a big pick, but when you look at Ezreal combined with this composition, it's not necessarily something that I like. It's just a bit too much vulnerability available for the team, right? And so a Cassante is going to be the final lock-in. Okay, this is like a rerun of which game was it where it was, you know, big like tanks, bruisers, but also big damage dealers. And so the first part of the game was literally just stalling it out, wait till the late game when Bel'Veth is attacking so fast and, you know, the Senna is attacking so far away, and then you've got 3 frontliners who are dealing massive damage as well as absorbing a lot. And Astrocats end things with a Yone. I'm a tad lost.
It is Seraphine bottom lane. Okay, figured it out.
Yep.
I was like,
I was right.
Oh,
all
it's
right. Okay,
Swain support. That is not the. Okay, that's not what I thought was gonna happen there.
Yeah, that's what I
mean.
figured,
Oh,
yeah.
no, never mind. If it's okay, so we'll find out. My assumption is that Swain is farming in the bottom lane and Senna is.
Yep. Starve. Starve.
Yes, starving.
Yeah.
That's what. Thank you. I was like, I've heard so many different iterations of that.
Yep.
Obviously, like typically you give the marksman to your marksman player. So even if they're playing the like support side of the center, you would give the person that's good at like auto attacking and like spacing the positiony AD carry champion. Yone is a fun mix up, especially since I wonder how long they thought it was Swain.
That's. I was gonna say. I wonder if too when they picked it, that they were like, all right, let's cheese this, right? It did feel as though the first 3 picks, they're like, let's just pick some flexy things. Granted, the Bel'Veth obviously is going to be going in the jungle, but I mean, that's exactly how it felt. They're just trying to kind of throw everything out there and be like, all right, make your decision, you know, think what you want for the side of Astrocats, and we're gonna play it whatever works best for the counter matchup. But I do kind of think that they took that Swain anticipating bringing it into the bottom lane.
Oh yeah, it had to be a flex. I don't think you want to play Swain mid against the Swain player.
Yeah,
that's just like, that's where I started, and I'm guessing Astrocats thought the same thing. These team fights are going to be, I mean, I said it last game, these team fights are going to be even wilder. I think the strat with a complex Serenities, and this is somewhat reminiscent of like the classic like Sona Tarek, Sona like Tom Kench-esque lanes, just like try and farm as safely as you can, and like you win team fights by just out tanking and out healing the enemy.
Yep.
And I don't think Astrocats have enough damage to win a team fight that lasts that long.
I agree. Like I said, it's basically just about out bruisering them, right? Absorbing.
Yeah.
It's out out to like timing out, right? You just stall through the game.
Yeah.
The early parts of this game are going to be really pivotal here for Astrocats, because if they do have any opportunity to get themselves some extra early damage, right, and a little bit of an easy roll into the mid game, it's going to be really taking over early game. Because if some of these champions get shut down, right, if the Yone gets shut down, if you're talking about Avril and Billyworth getting shut down in the bottom lane, there's not a lot of recoverability. You've got Fiku, who plays really well in the Xin Zhao, and Muramina, who's one of the best top laners, if not the best, that we have, across these three teams on a really secure champion. But can you make it to mid game? Can you make it to late game, without getting taken down too much? I don't know yet.
Yeah, we're also going to see, I think, a very classic jungler duality. We're going to see Fiku probably gank more than we saw before. Oh, Shisef, this is so cheesy.
I thought she got both. It doesn't matter. She doesn't need both. Everybody stop hitting that one. Yumichi, they actually definitely gave Yumichi that kill.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it in a while, and I guess I'm going to refresh myself too, because I also haven't seen Senna in a while.
Yep.
Typically, Senna's going to do a bunch of like supporting in the early stages of the game, and then they're going to trade off and Senna's going to start farming again. Because Senna's still going to build like normal marksman Senna items. She's still a carry. It's just you're kind of trading off farm. It's this interesting strategy where like Senna can kind of has the luxury of feeding any bottom lane champion you think you can navigate the lane with, but generally like you're still leaning on Senna to be a carry somewhat. She's just a different kind of carry.
Yeah, I'm surprised that, I mean, I am used to that. I'm also kind of surprised that, they don't just give the first at least to the Swain, because he can become sort of unbearable. But you know what? They got the assist on it, and it's still going in their favor, at least to start things. Fiku looking for a level 3 intrusion onto Ms. Teemo. Not going to be able to find one yet. And no summoners have been taken down. I feel like this might be the first game that we see all day, maybe all LCS game changers so far this year, that we might just have like actual trades in lane instead of just fights with, 4 or 5 people at a time.
We'll see. Never doubt players' ability to want to scrap when it comes down to it here. But yeah, Fiku, oh man, Belvet level 4. You can see the advantage. This is the dichotomy I was talking about. It is Yumichi in a bit of trouble. No summoners left, so that is going to be a dead Senna, absolutely. Can they get anything off the back of it, though? Doesn't look like it. They will get the flash for Fiku, which is not nothing, but it is going to be a kill.
A kill, and having the flash and the heal taken down from Yumichi definitely feels good. Hey, you lose a flash, but you get the flash in return, and you get the kill on top of it to get yourself first blood after 3.5 minutes. Cannot complain, or a second technically, after 3.5 minutes, and cannot complain about that one. At least evening things out for the team. I still am very curious to see, though, what the roam is going to be like on the top and the mid sides, because we've seen so much focus on the bottom in the last, honestly, most of the day. Just kind of an island in the top. But we've also seen a lot of intrusions coming through, like Shisep showing up in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think definitely for the Astrocats side, watch for Billyworth. Billyworth has been consistently roaming top lane, especially, which kind of makes sense given how good Muramina is at setting up her waves and managing her 1v1s, even playing a champion like Ornn, which I think if you understand the game and the matchups better than your opponent, you can get leverage out, even though Ornn isn't like, a super hard carry top laner or anything like that. You get a lot of mileage here. Shape just covering, which I do like, but there's no shot we get the kill here, so we're just going to back off, make sure the wave gets cleared, and Shapeshift's maybe going to even soak a bit of XP. Again, Belveth is going to be screaming through the jungle. Shapeshift did that first clear so quickly. Actually saw Fiku coming for gank number 2 down the bottom lane with a level advantage for the Belveth. So obviously Zin's caught up now, but Shapeshift's going to go back to farming, and it's going to be like Shapeshift's very kind of classic signature style up against, one of the best ganking junglers in the meta right now.
And, kind of attributing the really quick clear times back to the fault that you might find within that, right? Where sometimes Shapeshift spends too much time in the jungle. Belveth is one that she really likes because you're not going to spend very much time in the jungle, even if you're not the fastest clear in the world. And that might be one of the records that she has, I think, actually, is on Belveth. That she has record clear times for. So to be able to kind of negate that fear of being like, ooh, will Shapeshift be here on time? She always will be on time now.
Yeah, as long as you're on the same side, you should be good, even if you're clearing all your camps, because, they evaporate. As Fiku is going to dive in here, try and poke Shisep, but Sion with Flash, an unlikely 1v1 for Fiku to win.
Just a bit of poking, just reminding Shisep that there is, in fact, a
I'll be back
on the other side. And Yeah, we got finally. It's kind of about time that we have a slower game, a game where all the players seem to be moving forward with a little bit more trepidation. All of them realizing, okay, my win con isn't just face roll and kill everybody I can.
Yeah, games have definitely slowed down a little this week, which I think is a trend you could have pretty safely predicted from week 1 to week 2 as the teams, get a bit more comfortable, a bit more understanding, a bit more Billyworth face checking as Yumichi and Shapeshift trying to chase one down, but just some poke back and forth.
They get out, no problem. I was kind of scared for Billyworth on that one. It looks like Heloisia just decided to stay down at the lane, try to prevent that plate from being taken as well. And then Billyworth gets out A-okay. No ward was placed down there, of course, so she doesn't keep the vision on that bottom side, but Serenity already spending so much time down here trying to prevent Avril and Billyworth from, finding a bit of control. It's hard to do, though, when you got Fiku on the Xin Zhao here.
Yeah, that bot prior, and I guess some mid prior, although it seems pretty even. I say that, but Fairygold just TP'd back to lane, so gonna feel very comfortable pushing out this lane, giving space for this dragon. Astrocats should be able to get this nice and easily, and they do indeed claim dragon number 1 right before 7 minutes, so pretty early, but like a standard early timer, not like an ultra early one.
And there's Shy recalling the enemy jungler, of course, in between.
Hey, where have I seen this before?
Where? Yeah, exactly. Very similar style. She always tends to play the same way, and that is very aggressive, and that is trying to utilize the cheese of each champion. She's certainly found the cheese here. We can see pings now coming out. Maybe Muramina trying to take something here from Shapeshift. That's not going to be a worthwhile play, though. And we can see more pings coming out as we realize, hey, where's mid lane? Where's top lane? There's Shysept. She's in on the engage, and this is exactly what I was talking about. She goes in, but the response back from the side of Astrocats is wildly impressive. Shysept manages to get the pop-up onto Billyworth. Billyworth being a Rakan is too dang fast, though. It ends up being a 4v4 with no one going down.
That Swain E almost completely wrecked the Astrocats in that spot. Barely able to get away, had to burn a summoner or 2 to make sure they got out safely, and we did have Miss Timo teleporting in as well. I like the attempt a lot, and I love the ult roam from Tried. It's funny, you mentioned it, and I was like, really? Are we sure Shice was going to be the one roaming? But you were absolutely right. Has the first roam there down to the bottom lane.
Absolutely. I like I said, I know her as a player, and if she's playing someone like Sion, you're not going to see that ult go off unless she's traveling, at least half the rift, right? Whether it's coming from the top side down bottom or coming from base down to the bottom. Good, pings and indication as well for Serenity to say, okay, let's keep an eye on the mid lane, because we saw the pings come out as Shysept decided to go in, but the mid lane is not going to go as in favor as they would have hoped. There's the roam from Billyworth that you were talking about, and it leads to Ms. Timo falling. Yeah,
nice setup there. Lines up the ulti, has the knockups, and enough to take down Cassante, usually a pretty tricky customer, but Ms. Timo actually still has ulti, so that CC layering must have been pretty impeccable for both ult and flash to still be up and available. Shapeshift trying to run down Fairygold, but those are some nice feet out of the Yone, dodging out of the way of the incoming CC.
Yeah, Yone's pretty quick. He's a quick boy. He knows how to meander out of some of these fights. And that is another thing that we can kind of see on the side of Astrocats is in terms of speed, they are definitely in control of that. They have a lot of the ability to kind of jump in, jump out, speed themselves up, right? Utilize the quickness, literally speed. But for Serenity, they're okay with that, because at the end of the day, they're looking to go in 100%. If one member goes in, the rest of the team had better be going in just as hard, otherwise they're not going to come out ahead. So it's kind of cool to see how these teams are playing out and what their win cons are really resulting in.
Yeah, game still pretty even, which is nice to see. Astrocats, I think, feeling like they're in control, but still attention here. E is going to miss. Billyworth dashes away just in time, so doesn't have to burn too much on that attempt down the bottom lane. Nice to see Shapeshift paying the attention, but hasn't borne much fruit in the bottom lane just yet, except for Shysept's level 1 gank. That one was good.
Oh, stop Shapeshift here. Fiku and Shapeshift, I feel, have been spending so much time. They do a clear, and then they just kind of hang around. They're like, all right, how are we feeling, guys? What are we looking at here? You want me to come in? You want me to hang around? It's going to be a lot of damage that's coming out of Avril. That does kind of scale down as the game goes on. She becomes more of a utility player for the ultimate. There is Shysept once again with the roam. The charm comes through as the quick Nix goes out. Billyworth's going to be able to get out of that one. There is the songs that we need to see coming through from Eloisia and Avril, who are able to take one down. Fiku now the next target. Shysep is going to be able to try to pop multiple up, and she is able to do so. Shapeshift trying to get in here. Miss Timo trying to be a part of this fight. Eloisia just gets way too low to be able to participate in the remainder of it. Shysep with another pop, though. Avril will end up going down, and Fairy Girl, once again with those fancy feet, manages to be one of the few to make it out.
They're popping off. It kind of happened. That's like a little preview maybe of what the good team fights of Serenity will look like. I thought it was going to be Swain going down and it all falling to pieces. They even got the first pick, if I recall correctly, but the tanks did the tanky stuff. They bruised their way through. They attrition their opponents and just got, what, 3-4 kills at the end of that play?
And they're showing a lot of confidence now. Ms. Timo says, hey, you know what, I don't care that you took me down in my lane earlier. I've got some backup here. You might have some of your own. Yeah, let's watch this train.
This is, okay, so this first attempt, not too bad. Nice angle, but Billyworth has flash and is recalling, so is almost never going to go down. Great pullback there from the Swain, but Fiku just assassinates the center, and I'm like, oh no, it's all falling down. But look how long Swain lives here. There's, oh goodness gracious. I can see in my picture-in-picture Billyworth's in peril. We'll keep paying attention there, and again, Swain still alive, still alive, by the way. And that's all it takes. All the burst is gone, all the dive has happened, and you just tank and smack.
Now, all the ultimates were already out, too, at that point. You just wait for them to burn them down, basically,
oh, that's
and see what you can
juicy
do.
on combo.
Oh, nothing Shysep can do at that point. She's not going to be able to provide enough damage here to try to take down Muramina in retaliation, but wait, oh, that side ult has come out every second that it has gone down. Billy is way too in a scary position here. The charm did come through onto Shapeshift, but Billy goes down, so that means the quickness has fallen. Relatively quick cooldown. Shapeshift now has to dash away from this one. Fiku, we know how much damage can be done here.
Dash.
No way, the dash didn't work out. Fiku finds another.
I was looking for Void Surge. I was trying to figure out which one was coming back off cooldown, and the one that came back was the only one that dashed, the one that dashed towards Zin, which is obviously not the one you want in that situation. So, trade at the end of it all. But Shapeshift does go down to Fiku. Zin's being a little bit of a menace here. Now finished the Mythic 3-2-0. Especially in the early game, can really find some of these plays, but there was the follow-up I missed. It's Miss Timo getting revenge.
Ah, very well done on that. Somebody has to take Fiku down. Somebody needs to play some control on Fiku because she's just going to continue to run away with this, and the damage that you get stacked up on this team is going to become devastating. Fairy Girl has a lot of scaling opportunity. Fiku has a really good chance to not only absorb more, but do a lot more damage. And it looks like Serenity, their game plan is still the same, but they need to kind of adjust how they are doing it. Part of this is Shysep needs to be a little bit more careful. Not that this is the situation, but when you're going in on those ultimates, you have to make it worthwhile and ensure that at least the rest of the team can get to you. Fairy Girl, not going to be able to get the kill.
That's so clean!
She flashes back in. She manages to get the shield. Yumichi, though, looking for the kill. The W not able to hit. Shapeshift should get that. The shield's coming through, though. Fiku trying to make a little bit of retaliation here. Shapeshift will get charmed, will end up going down. Billyworth on a clutch play here. Yumichi, a very accessible target. Can they get the damage that's necessary? Billyworth might go down here. No, they don't. Oh, the grand entrance to the other side of the wall. This is, I keep holding my breath, and I think I need some blood pressure pills now.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't hold it too long, because you might not survive this game at the rate we're going. All this trading, all this back and forth, 15 kills in under 15 minutes. As down here, we'll see Muramina taking another soul, it looks like here. This is not their first on game or two. Let me tell you, Muramina understanding the limits of this champion. Perfect damage calculation. Doesn't even get the knockup, but has more than enough. Hit the last few punches in Bellows Breath, and that's a solo kill for the top laner there, taking out the enemy mid laner. Even someone like Kasante, usually pretty tricky to get. Muramina feeling comfy here on the on.
They managed to secure Shirley, or Kelly, you know, whatever you prefer, I guess, since she doesn't have a...
I like Shirley.
Yeah,
I'm a Shirley.
All you LCS people like Shirley. Kelly rhymes with Shelley, though, okay? So
we can go with Kelly, I don't mind. We can change it. It's LCS game changes, not LCS.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
We can have Shelley and Kelly.
Yeah, I do like the fact, though, that was the prioritization here for Astrocats. There is a realization as well how much pressure they've already put on Serenity's top side, so they're like, all right, might as well just take advantage of that. Let's make sure that we get the other Rift Herald, since the first one was picked up by Serenity. and let's try to gain as much pressure as possible from that. And it's starting to look really dire for Serenity's ability to sort of counter the engage that we see on Astrocats. And speaking of which, it's Fairy Girl once again able to jump in. Doesn't even need to use the ultimate until the escape side of the fight.
Yeah, no stopwatch this time. Can't save Heloisha. Really nicely done for Fairy Girl, who is starting to become a bit of a problem in any of the 1v1 lanes that might open up. Currently still sitting in mid because that tower's still there for the taking. Gonna try and do some damage to it now. Looks like another solo lane solo kill might be happening here. Miss Timo 2 levels down. Ornn has ulti. Does have ult but no flash. Bella's breath out. Does pop the little dash there to get herself away. But here's the ulti. I think that's all of it. Yeah, again the combo comes in. This time the knock-up is good. There's the ulti trying to buy time again. Cassante can live for so long, and now the teleport comes on in. It's a Scion and a Senna. That should be enough here, but what's the rest of the damage here? Avril coming on in, but that may be ill-advised. Shapeshift diving on in, gets the kill and finds the shutdown. There's a second kill as Senna finds it, and it's Serenity that turned that solo play around.
That's Miss Timo showing big cojones right there. She was so close to falling so many times, and you saw how much it took to actually get Muramina out of the fight. She stayed alive for so long. Of course, that didn't matter when it comes to Serenity having as much crowd control and damage as they do now. Still, though, I think Astrocats are feeling okay about the fights that have been taken where it seems like maybe it's a loss, because in terms of objectives and map control, they have that firm-footed.
I mean, that is Cassante classic. That just happened right there.
Yep.
I mean, you live on the edge. That ultimate, it gives you so much extra juice if you manage to use it late and get some of that missing health going. So, nice use of the kit there for Miss Timo to buy the time. Team collapses at the right time. And we have an objective fight coming up, but might be starting early. Fiku in a spot of bother. Gets knocked up. Shapeshift diving on in, trying to rip people apart with the Belvet. If they can get the enemy jungler, it makes getting the dragon easier. But the other side is looking good for Astrocats as Fairy Girl takes down Miss Timo.
Shy tried to jump in on that one to get the pop-up, but actually missed it with the flash. That means she's going to go down. Her passive is in it, and it's a lot of damage onto Fairy Girl. Can maybe the rest of Serenity turn and deal some damage in response? Not when Muramina is on the front side of the fight, and they're just able to pop tiny little pebbles at that Ornn.
Yeah, gonna be tough to win any uneven numbered fight, especially with this kind of comp, because you kind of need everyone to be alive, tanking and like peppering people down and being annoying after you presumably absorb the first initial bit of burst. So in 3v5, don't fancy anything other than a steal. Shapeshift decided it's not really worth the attempt, which I can certainly agree with, and they'll give it up there and give that third dragon over to Astrocats, now on soul point.
Astrocats are feeling good. If you look at...
Yeah, they're looking good too.
Yeah, they're looking good. They're feeling good. That momentum that we were talking about might still be in their favor here, as out comes the second Rift Herald. Fiku's going to take a lot of damage, get stunned up here. In goes the rest of the team. Billy Worth does almost have the quickness back up and available, so maybe looking for an opportunity on that side. There's the charm from Avril onto Shapeshift, but it's too much damage to Fiku, who's going to get shut down here by that jungler. Billy Worth maybe trying to make a little bit of room here. It's Shy Sep's ultimate as well to follow it up. And it's a lot of members here from Astrocats that are falling farther and farther behind.
Yeah, looks like it might be the Shapeshift show, if at least in this mid game. Obviously, like a pretty decent amount of damage. Has the Kraken Slayer done? Feeling good. Obviously, I feel like every time Shapeshift arrives to a fight, suddenly the texture turns from like, oh, they're tanking a lot but not really doing much damage, to like, they're tanking a lot and now everyone is dying because Shapeshift is running in. I mean, again, 2 tanks, basically, or a tank and a bruiser, depending on how you want to put it. I love Avril here, finding Shapeshift, trying to find the CC, but there's just not enough damage. Senna ulti over the top to save the day. And then that shutdown, true form Belvath, and good night, the rest of Astrocats there. 5v4 with Belvath unlocked. Not a whole lot of fun you're going to have there as they do clean up a second kill.
Yeah, it's, you know, I guess the good side here for Astrocats is the players that they have caught a lot of damage on, that they're really pushing forward on these engages, have only lost a life apiece. There's also still a lot of damage coming out from Fiku, so the players that are dying is this bottom side, which is, you know, I mean, expected to be a bit weaker when it comes to the early parts of the game. You're looking at 0-3 and 3 for Avril, and then 0-3 and 7 for Billyworth. So it's going to take them longer to stack up those items. You can see already, though, that kind of the plans of action are really being shown here when in terms of these items and how these builds are going to play out.
Yeah, I think Skullknight wouldn't feel so bad for Avril here on the Seraphine, playing a bit more of a utility role, even though you do decent damage as Seraphine if you hit your skills, especially double cast Q. The 2 Magi stacks is really the sad news for Avril and Avril fans, because I'm guessing that was a higher number before that got bought, and recent death may have cut one of those down. Oh, that's a dodge and a half out of Yumichi. Has to flash as well, but fancy feet to wiggle out of that one, and now the TP's coming on in here. Shysept, interception onto Avril, flashes back on the other side, but Shapeshift trying to find the play. They just need someone to get in the jaws of the Belveth, and that is a beautiful turnaround ulti out of Avril, but they're just so tanky. Avril that finally takes down Shapeshift, and that should be curtains on the team fight. Big damage threat gone. And even though the tankiness is there, the utility is there, there's just not enough to fight back. It is going to be Shysept falling after the Scion passive wears off, and Heloisha's going to make it 4, and there's only one left. Yumichi, Asena versus the rest of the squad. Fiku is dead, but that is not much condolence with Barrigold chasing you down, as there's the ace for Astrocats.
There is an ace at 21 minutes. That means they can play for Baron here. They already have a lot of vision on both sides of the map, and they are, I mean, this feels like it's going to be almost impossible to stop them running, right? 21 and a half minutes, and there's already a big gold differential in their favor. Now that they're going to pick up Baron on all 5 members, we can anticipate that continuing to grow. And unfortunately for Shysept, man, I love these engages, but I don't think a single one has actually hit a champion due to just some of the mobility on the side of Astrocats, or maybe a flash being expended.
Yeah, a lot to ask. Honestly, like, I mean, Shysept's not only picking tricky angles, like, it's not like straight corridors in a lot of cases. It's some pretty big bends that Scion has to kind of drift around. But also there's nothing really able to help her unless Senna or Swain lands a skill shot binding to try and like slow someone down. They can both follow up well, but like your primary engage is a Scion, which isn't the most reliable primary engage. It's not like you have a Rakan, like on the side of Astrocats, they can kind of pull the trigger, or an Owen on the side of Astrocats, like Muramina. So I don't blame Shysept for not hitting as hard as she could maybe on some of these engages, because they're just tough to find. I do love the attempts though, and I think again, it's still playable. Not if you get picked off though. Again, you have to play 5v5, and that Senna just got erased off the riff.
That's kind of one of those champions too, that if you're on the side of Serenity, you're wanting to keep alive, you're wanting to get gold and experience.
It's a montage moment.
Fairy Girl following up on this is when Shapeshift says, I'm taking the long way around to try to get out of here, but I don't think that's going to be possible, especially not if Fiku has something to say about it. And it feels like so little is expended out of Astrocats, and yet they take so much with them.
Yeah, and apparently Avril did not care about losing potential Magi stacks. We had 2 last time I checked in. The number is now 16. So book has been refilled very rapidly, and Astrocats 10,000 gold ahead, on the verge of another 2-0. Apparently they get one every weekend. That seems to be their thing. Heloisha in a bit of trouble, knocked up, pops the Swain ulti. Senna Shield's not going to save you for long enough. Dawning Shadow, just a temporary stopgap, and unfortunately do lose your support after that. Now going to lose Inhib as well, and a bit more. Baron still... Nope, Baron off. Nope, Baron's still there. I can see. I swear I can see the Baron icon. Are going to lose his Inhib as well. Are they going to lose more though, Jolly? The game might end here if they're not careful.
That's what I was going to say. We might be looking at an even quicker game than we had last week. I think it was just under 25 minutes, what Camcom said. There's another Inhib down. There's not a lot available in terms of ultimates on the side of Serenity. They really just have to kind of stand their ground here under tower and wait for Astrocats to make a decision. Are you going to engage us under tower, or are you going to clean up as much as you can and then navigate back over to the jungle? They've already cleared like everything out at this point, so there's no reason for Astrocats to back up. They're so healthy, they're so tanky, and they still deal so much damage.
It's also supremely early in the game, so you have to do a lot of damage and keep this siege going if you want to actually win, because the death time is not going to help you out here if you get a pick or two. But the Baron is still there. They've got a little bit longer left on it, but I think they're just going to go for it.
Oh, look at all the damage that's landing onto Shysept. Avril is just waiting for the encore to come through. It's Fairy Girl that finds a great engage on the backside. Avril finds another one to follow that up. The encore is now available.
Blah.
She throws it out and picks up a couple more kills off of that spectacular ultimate. Yumichi, you know what? You might take one with you, but it's a quadra kill going to Avril, and it is a just over 25-minute game going to Astrocats, who have not lost a single game now to Serenity in the 2 weeks of LCS game changers that we've seen.
If you heard me making a faux sound of throwing up, that's because that last fight was gross.
It was. Cam, you look entertained.
Wow. Yeah, that was a great game. That was a great series, honestly. Fairy girl, 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 fairy girl. Someone get fairy girl on LCS team. Fairy girl.
I think she read my mind because at one point I was gonna say, you know what? I feel like Ayakura might be the best mid laner. And then those games happen.
Then those games, in particular, I mean that last game, right? Like, you get a Yone R5. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong on this, but I think that was the first time that Fairy Girl was actually given the R5 counter pick, right? And the fact that she was confident enough, I'm going to have to double check on that in a minute, but the fact that she was confident enough to R5 the Yone as a counter pick to the Cassante, I can't think of a Cassante mid counter pick off the top of my head, but apparently it's Yone now. So there you go. And I mean, every single time there was like any mini outplay, she always had the thumbs up emoji every single time. That just added so much to it, I think.
It did. And I have to commend to Avril and Billyworth for kind of like taking a hit, right? To just the composition in general. It really allowed the Yone to do what he could do. And when it comes to the engage for Xin Zhao, there's nobody better than like having an encore thrown out there, having the quickness on top of it. It was CC layered on CC. I mean, a full charm bottom lane is something to behold. And while it was kind of a struggle towards the early parts of the game, only because they were pushing so hard and getting like countered and ganked so often by the entire team of Serenity, they still managed to kind of switch to a utility based perspective from them. They said, all right, if we can just get something set up for the rest of the team, then we're gonna win. And that's exactly what happened.
I didn't think I would say this, but Murumina's on is a problem. This is, I think, the only player playing this champion, if I recall correctly, or at least
I think so.
Certainly has the most on games, if not the only on games in the tournament so far. And I've seen Murumina's carries; they look really good. On is looking kind of like a carry. And in many ways, like these drafts, especially for my play-by-play brain, they're hard to decipher. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of skill checking happening. They're fun. They're chaotic. But On really tied the room together there. Like every time it seemed like it got a little dicey. On to the rescue. And Murumina's laning just translated perfectly into mid and late. And the wild Yone Seraphine comp just kind of sent it.
Absolutely. And of course, speaking of Orm, we do actually have Ashley Kang on hold with an interview with the beautiful Orm player herself, Muramina.
Thank you so much, guys. And I'm joined by Muramina, the top laner of Astrocats, as they go 7-1 on the second week of the tournament for the Game Changers. Hey, Muramina, congratulations on yet another victory. How are you feeling right now?
Hi, thank you. I feel really happy with how I played. But I'm really proud of my team. Like, they're awesome. They're all awesome to work with.
Oh, wow. What part of your performance today were you happy about? And what part of today's performance that made you proud of your team?
Well, I got to pull off an Orin combo, so that was pretty awesome. That was funny. Also, I really liked how our team was able to adapt to such a strange draft. Like, we've never expected them to pick things like Singed or Senna Swain, things like this. I'm really happy with how everyone played. They all played so great.
Yeah, because Serenity always seems to pull out one of really interesting comps, so to speak, and your opponent. Yeah, and also Shyset is really known for playing things like Ilaoi and Singed. So what was your over expectation going against Shyset today?
I love Shy. We've been friends since the first Game Changers, and we always talk before and after the games, and I love her. She's awesome. She's playing weird stuff that I don't know what to do against sometimes, but I love you, Shy. It's fun.
But she also played Sion today. You had a very solid tank versus tank matchup today.
Yeah, and she level 1'd bot. And I was like, oh god.
Because you earlier mentioned that, wow, I'm really proud of my team and the team is doing awesome, and Astrocat is obviously doing really well, going #1 in the standings right now. How was the team atmosphere overall, and how much of it is contributing to the success that Astrocat has been seeing this time?
it's a little tricky sometimes. Nothing's perfect. Like, scrims aren't always perfect, of course. I'm sure that's with every team too, not just us. But I'm really happy with how live matches go and how we communicate with each other in the end and how we work together to solve problems.
And you've been on Game Changers a few times, I believe. Compared to your first experience with Game Changers, how much have you also improved as a player, perhaps as a team player?
Ooh.
In your opinion?
So, funny stuff. When I first joined Game Changers, I was actually a Lulu mid one trick. I only played Lulu and Enchanters. So it was crazy for me to gain that confidence to branch out to champions like Camille. Like, I didn't play melee champions before, and to realize that I have that ability to do that just gave me a huge shot of confidence that, like, oh, I can learn more stuff about the game. And even in real life, this all translates to my confidence everywhere. And
wow.
I really appreciate
Yeah, sure, sorry, you
Changers
go on.
for that. Oh, sorry. No, I was pretty much done.
No. Can you please like elaborate on how like you getting to expand your champion pool and having more confidence in game also translated in real life? Because that's like a really interesting subject. I'd love to hear more.
It's like my whole life I've dealt with confidence issues and like always looking down on myself. So the first year of Game Changers, when I did well and I played well, I was really proud of myself. It really sparked something in me, and I was like, oh, I can really just do whatever I want. And if I really care about that, then it'll go well.
And you also mentioned, you becoming good friends with Shycept, and one of the great things about Game Changers is like building more relationships and like, getting to get to know teammates as well as players on other teams. What are some fun episodes or like new friends or relationship that you got to form on this Game Changers so far?
I really love these questions. I really love working with Avril and Billy. They're so funny. Levy too. They're all so funny. We won because Avril ate some like 6-inch Italiano sausage or something. I don't know. I'm really happy working with them. They make my day every day. I laugh every time we scrim and stuff.
Okay, we would love to like hear some of those like backstage conversations. They sound lovely. And yeah, Romana, once again, congratulations on your victory. Slowly closing the interview off, you said with previous Game Changers, you gained a lot of confidence as well as like met new people, and those experiences are continuing into this Game Changers. So what is the one thing that you want to take out from the 2023 Game Changers? It's obviously bigger than previous ones, so that's pretty interesting.
What I want to take out, I'm not really sure, other than wanting to improve as a player and also wanting to be a better teammate and be able to communicate better, but also to be able to show like a lot of people should have more confidence in like branching out their champ pool. Because if I a Lulu one trick for like 10 years can play these champions, everyone should try to branch out their comfort zone. Everyone's branching out of their comfort zone in this event, and it's awesome because everyone's doing so well.
This is a message to all the Yasuo and Zed one tricks out there. It is actually possible to play other champions too.
I love that.
That's a great takeaway for the interview. And once again, thank you so much for your time. And back to you, casters. That was a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I feel attacked, Ashley King. Not a Yasuo one trick. I'm actually a
Me and
Oriana
Jolly.
two trick.
We're sitting here just laughing the whole time. That was a great interview.
Oh yeah, I was like trying to suppress my laughter because I'm like, I think I'm muted, but just in case I was, and then you would laugh and it made me laugh more. And,
I'm sorry.
Pacey's like, are you guys okay? Is everything all right? That was so, not only was it like a very fun interview, it was also really wholesome. It was really wholesome. And it's the side of Game Changers that we love to see, and the reason that Riot has put so much into something like this, not just for people to make friends, but like what Muramina said there at the end, to help other people maybe feel more comfortable, right? If I can do it, you can do it too, to hopefully kind of open people's minds to, all right, there's a space for us, right, where we can feel at home. And Game Changers is a home for many people now at this point. I could not be more happy with today's games.
Yeah, hot tip for Astrocats socials, you should clip part of the interview and put it on your Twitter.
Yes. Yes.
Just saying.
You should clip just us laughing in the background. Unfortunately, we're not on stream laughing on the background, but we were having a fantastic time.
It's true.
Anyways, yes, we did just watch 6 games of League of Legends, so let's take a quick look at the standings after the 3 best of 2s for today. Last week, the standings were a little bit more close, but after this week, Astrocats take a little bit of a run for their money here with the 4-0 win streak now. They have landed themselves very solidly at the top of the table, 7-1. Arcana and Serenity still very close to each other as well, 3-5 and 2-6 respectively.
It's close. Like, that, it feels like... it's hard to say that anything has been solidified when it's only been a couple weeks of broadcast, right? As Pastry Time was alluding to, this is, like smashing a whole season into like a month and a half or a couple months. And for Astrocats, it feels kind of like they have solidified their position. Now, that doesn't necessarily speak for the rest of the 2 weeks, but between Arcana and Serenity, I mean, it's close, 3-5 and 2-6. We know Astrocats can take everybody down 0-2, but we know that it's still pretty evenly matched. You can literally just look at this match history and you could guess what the standings are, right? 1-1, really close in terms of wins, and then Astrocats just taking home the big dubs. So I like to see that we do have a bit of a gap, but I also like to see that it's really, really close together in terms of the 2nd and 3rd place here.
Yeah, I think regardless of what happens, there's a lot to learn. And even though today we had one team clearly dominating, teams, again, week over week will learn a ton. And we'll see how much they learn for next week, because that's our schedule.
Schedule coming at you here for next week. Astrocats versus Serenity. And Serenity will have the first doubleheader, taking on Arcana in their 2nd game. And then Arcana will be on the doubleheader to take back on Astrocats. So Astrocats cannot do a 4-0 next week, not necessarily in a row, but that does leave space for Serenity or Arcana to do a 4-0 in a row, and that would definitely bring our standings just that much closer.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things is that because all of the teams get to go, like, yes, seeding does matter when you're trying to win a tournament, right? Skipping an entire best of 3 makes your tournament chances quite a bit better, and that's what you get for finishing first. But again, it's so much about the experience and the stream time and then the stage time after that, that even if we end up with standings mathematically solidified early into next week, which certainly could happen based on the gaps that are there right now, don't expect like games to be any different, because teams want every single bit of practice and time to shine they can get on stream, and every single minute of game you play is going to do wonders to prepare you for many players, if not all of them, your first ever big stage game.
And for, maybe getting some insider information, right? Okay, so either everyone has to eat a sausage, or when we get to LA, right, somebody has to make sure there are no sausages within the vicinity of Avril, because we already know that that's her win con.
Oh my gosh, that was a funny line from the interview. I was not expecting her to mention something about sausages, but you know what? Speaking of LA, speaking of the finals, once again, you can claim your free ticket using exclamation point tickets. They are free. They are in Twitch chat currently. If you would like to claim them, come watch us play in LA in person. All 3 teams again will be there, as well as me and Jolly. Pastry is leaving us in the dust, unfortunately for him. It's okay though.
Sorry. I mean, it is unfortunate for me, honestly. I'm taking the L here.
Yep.
But it should be a great event. The other thing you can do is also, if you want to know more about these teams, maybe at them on Twitter, tell them to upload interview content. Just tell them how much you love them, how great you think they are, how cute the Astrocats logo is. You can do that on Twitter as well.
Yeah, give them love, guys. Give them love.
Their handles will fly up soon.
Yeah, their handles. I'm sure. Yeah, let's throw their handles up there one more time as well. so that you guys can see them in person, right? After you do exclamation point tickets. So we got that. Everybody has typed that in. All right. If we get their socials up so that we can kind of promote these gals more, you can get all the players' socials as well from the team socials.
Yep.
They're also incredibly interactive, right? There is so much cool stuff. Where the tarot cards, right? That I think it was Arcana that has set up. There's a lot of really cool artwork, and basically, hey, if you get hold of them, if there's a clip you like, link it, send it to them. I guarantee you they'll retweet it. They'll appreciate it, because that's what this is Game Changers is all about: having fun, trying to get a little bit more visibility.
Go follow the teams. Go follow Riot, LCS, Sido, all the players, everybody, production as well. Thank you, everyone, for making this a fantastic game, or day 2 even of the game LCS Game Changers. I have been Camcom, Pastry Time, and Jolly. Thank you so much for casting with me today, and we will see you all back here once again, same time, same place next week. See you all later for Game Changers Week 3.
Bye.